I am now I'm on the air. So join us, won't you? Our palatial, beautiful, high-rise studio in Dallas, Texas. Oh, yeah. You don't want to miss this. I'm telling you. All right, so let me talk about a couple of things. Gosh. People smoking marijuana live on CNN. Isn't that great? Yeah. Yeah, the reporter who's all goofy-faced, lighting it for everybody else, holding the joints but not actually smoking. No, I didn't inhale. I didn't inhale. I didn't do anything. Flipping idiots. There is, however, something very, very cool that happened. California highway signs showed up all over California. They're brilliant. They look exactly like these, the blue signs underneath the city limit signs, that talk about something great about the city or something along that line. Malibu, California, population 13,000, elevation 16 feet. Official sanctuary city. Cheap nannies and gardeners make Malibu great. Boyle Heights, not so much. That's a sign. When you enter California from Las Vegas, as you head back on I-15, there's one that says, official sanctuary state. Welcome to California. Then the state sign says, felons, illegals, and MS-13 gang members, welcome. Democrats need the votes, reads a message on the signs, which are plastered with the Great Seal of California and a donkey, one of the symbols of the Democrat Party. This is exactly what needs to be happening. People need to be pointing out to the realities of all of it. Brilliant. California Department of Transportation, Caltrans spokesman Mark Dinger told Fox News that one of the signs was taken down yesterday on Interstate I-15 near the California-Nevada border. Yeah, taken down by somebody like me who wants to steal it. A crew has been dispatched today to remove another sign spotted on I-40 near the border with Arizona. For safety reasons, Caltrans does not permit any unauthorized signs in the state right away. If we haven't done so already, Caltrans crews will take steps to remove these signs. Right. California became a sanctuary state yesterday, on January 1st, after Democrat Governor Jerry Brown, Governor Moonbeam, signed it into law. The law bars police in the nation's most populous state from asking people about their immigration status or participating in federal immigration enforcement activities in most cases. Yeah. That's why the sign said, felons, illegals, and MS-13, welcome. Previously deported, no problem. By the way, the Malibu councilwoman Laura Rosenthal said that this was not an official city sign. No. Really? No, you don't have to make fun of me with that totally California thing. It's true. Not the totally California thing. I mean, people don't actually talk like that here. It's so totally crazy that you would even say something like that, you crazy person. Where are you from? Texas. Well, that explains everything. Official sanctuary city, cheap nannies and gardeners make Malibu great. It was not an official city sign, and it's downbeat. It puts everybody down in Malibu. That's not what puts everybody down in Malibu. What puts everybody down in Malibu is because you can't say you. Malibu. 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 It's disheartening that anyone would put up such an ugly sign. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Not ugly at all. But whoever did it really spent some time on it. I mean, not like on the Rose Parade floats, but close. Oh, God. It's 2018. Chances are very, very good that the person that hits you with his car next time will be high on marijuana. So there you go. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on from a standpoint of politics. Congressional Republicans returned to work this week, thrilled that they passed a major tax reform bill, but uncertain and divided about what they'll do in 2018. Entering the second year of unified control of Washington, GOP lawmakers have more questions than answers about what they can accomplish. Well, because, they're not used to being front runners. Yeah. Well, we're Republicans, we're used to being like losers. As a matter of fact, you know what should happen? The Republican Party should change their name to the Lee-Publican Party. For losers. Hi, I'm a Republican. Out of control today. I am... When they passed all these laws making marijuana legal across the country, my sarcasmometer pegged. It's been there the whole... I mean, I have been waiting for this day for several days. I mean, I've been off for almost a week or so. And I've just been sitting there just chomping at the bit. By the way, the reason that you hear Congress is back, but they don't know what they're doing is because this is written by Ted Barrett from CNN. Yeah. On key issues like healthcare, immigration, and reining in debt from safety net programs, congressional Republicans are split, just when a more unified message might help convince voters to keep them in power. But because they're so fragmented, there's no way they're going to stay in power. The Democrats are going to take over and make marijuana legal for everyone. Yeah, we're just going to do away with citizenship. History shows that the first midterm election of a new presidency, the president's party usually suffers. I hope that the Republicans win by a frickin' landslide. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, the Republican from Kentucky, has provided few details about what he'll put on the floor this year. But he's made it clear he doesn't plan to force controversial entitlement changes through his narrowly divided chamber, or make another attempt at a broad repeal of the Affordable Care Act, which failed last summer. You see, we just don't have the number of seats in the majority that we normally would have, because we gave one away because we didn't want Roy Moore in here. I'm sorry, was Roy Moore ever convicted of anything? Has he ever been indicted for anything? No? You see, because Senator Menendez was actually indicted, and he's still in the Senate from what I understand. Oh, anyway. Mitch McConnell was asked about the continued effort by Senator Lindsey Graham to push forward the repeal proposal for the Affordable Care Act. When asked about that, McConnell bluntly said, "I wish them well." Hey. I never thought that I would ever want a Republican to leave the Senate as much as I thought I wanted Harry Reid to leave the Senate. But Mitch McConnell has taken up the I hate all Americans mantra of Senator Reid. Harry Reid hated America worse than any other person I ever saw. Until Mitch McConnell. It's my job to stand up as the Senate Majority Leader and hate this country. My job to make sure that my party does as much damage to itself as possible, just like what happened when Harry Reid was doing the job. I can follow. I think I have more talent than he did when it came to destroying my own party. McConnell would also have to decide, and likely soon, to push forward on another budget reconciliation effort in order to provide a vehicle in which to move the new repeal effort with a simple majority vote. At this point, there are no signs of any preparation for any such effort, according to aides. There's some debate between Republicans, even in the House, and certainly Mitch McConnell, said Representative Mark Walker of North Carolina, who chairs the Conservative Republican Study Committee. But that's a promise we have continued to make. Yes, it's a problem you have continued to make. It is one that you have to come through on. Don't be idiots. "51 to 49, McConnell lamented, is a pretty tight majority. But it's a majority, Senator. It would be all Senator Reid would need. He'd just simply invoke the nuclear option, and that would be that. But you don't have the stones to do that, do you?" Paul Ryan wants to reform entitlements. And what's happening is that we, the people of the United States, who flat told everybody on the planet that we were tired of Twitter-pated politicians standing in the way of what we, the people of the United States, want for our own country. We voted a non-politician into the presidency, the highest office in the land. And the reason that we did that is because politicians in the United States ignored us, and they're continuing to ignore us, which means we're going to have to vote more of them out of the office that they currently hold. Vote for a different Republican this year. Vote Republicans if you're a Republican. Vote for Democrats if you vote for Democrats. But vote for different people. We're going to take on welfare reform, says Paul Ryan. It's the perfect time to do it. The Democrats are not going to go along with it. And the Republicans can do what the Republicans do best. Pass law after law after law, defeated by themselves or Democrats, depending on who's necessary. When it came to repealing the Affordable Care Act, the Republican Party could not depend on Democrats to do it. So they had to destroy their own promise. Is this the time to remember that? Probably not, but soon. The time to remember all of these broken promises from the Republican Party is during the primary season, the primary election season. Put Tea Party Republican candidates in those seats. And I'm not talking about putting somebody in there that's going to lose to a Democrat. Because if you do that, then what ends up happening is that President Trump will likely get impeached. And so what do we do? Well, you can do what I suggest. Elect someone else. Stick to your party. Look, if you're a Democrat listening to this broadcast, why in heaven's name would I try to convince you to be a Republican? I mean, you already know that most of the people in the Republican Party are Democrats anyway. I mean, it's a great time to be a Democrat. A great time to be a Democrat. It is ridiculous. You are listening to the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. Our telephone number is 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. Please join me. Tell me what you think as we get back to the ridiculous stupidity that is the government of the United States. Starting our new year with a laugh. At least they're doing that. It's the Wells Report on the USA Radio Network.
All right, man. Sounded good.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Hello, beloved peoples.
All right, back in 1 minute.
One flippin' minute. One flippin' minute in the morning. Hello? I'm doing okay. You gonna leave? Yeah, get all those things in, man. Make sure they're there. Please. What?
All right, back in 10 seconds.
Okay, cool. Good deal. I got some stuff I've got to cut tomorrow. Lock me in. Thank you, sir. You are listening to the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. Our telephone number is 844-927-6691, 844-927-6691. The New York Times is starting out 2018 not real well. Okay? This is not a good thing for them. The New York Times Saturday published a story headlined Republican attacks on Mueller and the FBI open a new rift in the GOP. This got the attention of WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks then put up a late night post on Twitter revealing that a New York Times reporter fed State Department email updates or fed the State Department email updates of the story or the stories the paper would be publishing days before the stories appeared. In a late night post on Twitter, WikiLeaks revealed that a New York Times reporter used to feed State Department email updates. Used to feed the State Department email updates of the stories the paper would be publishing days before the stories appeared. At the time, Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State. Original message, Shane Scott, New York Times. Sent Sunday, November 28, 2010, 11:39 p.m. South Korea and Gitmo are the stories running Tuesday. Wednesday is Pakistan and Blackwater. Thursday is Russia and Canada. Friday is Afghan corruption in Karzai, two separate stories. Saturday is Yemen. Sunday is China. Monday is terrorist financing and possibly something on Iraq, for which you have no cables yet. Tuesday is arms trade and possibly something on NATO, for which you have no cables yet. By the way, this was redacted. PJ, I just went this to Philip Crowley is the supposed addressee. PJ, I went through preparing our Gitmo and Korea cables for posting. We're posting no Gitmo cables that mention blank. The heads up email was intended to give Secretary of State Clinton and the State Department time to come up with spin stories that would get around the stories that caused problems. Or in another possible scenario, the heads up could give State Department time to create a diversion for the same day, thus overriding a damaging story with other news its friend in the mainstream media would have happily covered instead. The players in the WikiLeaks email are interesting. Scott Shane is the national security reporter for the Times. The recipient of his email, Philip Crowley, was at the time the United States Assistant Secretary of State for Public Affairs under Clinton's State Department. Great, huh? Isn't that fantastic? There's more. The New York Times, in trouble in 2018, and it's already only 2 days old. What am I talking about? Well, let's see. They're trying to hang on to their collusion thread, which is getting more threadbare with every passing day. That's their story, you know. And then Donald Trump tweeted the publisher, the new publisher of the New York Times. We'll cover those stories and more. It's the first working day back from the new year. Welcome to 2018. It's great to see your face. Looking forward to seeing it for a long time to come. This is the Wells Report on the USA Radio Network. Thank you. Oh, the audio is a tad low. Well, that sucks. Let me see if I can turn it up a little bit. There we go. I'm sorry. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2. Boehner. How's that? Is that a little bit better? Hello? Okay. Why, there you go. Let me make sure it's okay. All right, so there you go. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is that about this right? Do you want more or less? Yow, glad I wasn't wearing earbuds. Yeah. Hey, can somebody tell me whether or not, what's the word? Tell me, good. Can you tell me whether or not, I can't remember what I was talking about. Never mind. Power amp overloaded and shut down before I could get to the mixer controls. Whoops. I'm sorry, Cappy. Good now. Oh boy.
All right, back in 1 minute.
One dang minute. Billy Schieffer, welcome to the broadcast. Scott Body, welcome to the broadcast. Good to have you here.
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
10 seconds. North to south, coast to coast. This is the Wells Report. Welcome to 2018. Welcome to 2018. I'm John David Wells. 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691 is our telephone number. Remember the old saw about waiting for the other shoe to drop? Well, all kinds of other shoes dropping all over the place. WikiLeaks says, thank you, Hillary. But a New York Times reporter was giving you the news days ahead of time, so you knew how to handle it. And the thing about it is that I was so mad. I actually was swearing earlier today. So mad that this was happening. Because I said she had all this information. She had the news that's going to be fit to print so that she could deflect whatever made her look bad. And she still lost the election. She got every dime the Democrat Party was given in the 2016 presidential election. She got every dime. And she lost. All the effort of the Democrat Party went into getting Hillary Clinton elected. All of the political efforts of the FBI, the CIA, John Bremer, the office of the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, unmasked American citizens, having their names and reputations splattered all over everywhere because they happened to be in contact with a foreign national who was obviously a threat to American national security, and therefore they were being wiretapped. Oh, but look, there's General Mike Flynn. I wonder what he's saying. WikiLeaks says the New York Times was telling the Hillary Clinton campaign the news before it was the news. Trump advisors' visit to Moscow got the FBI's attention, was the page one headline run by the New York Times April 20th of 2017. This above its breathless report that a, quote, catalyst for the FBI investigation into connections between Russia and President Trump's campaign was a June 2016 visit to Moscow by Carter Page. It was due to the Moscow trip by Page, dubbed a foreign policy advisor to the campaign, that the FBI obtained a warrant from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court in September during the stretch run of the presidential campaign. Seven months after throwing Carter Page's in as fuel on the collusion fire lit by then FBI Director James Comey's stunning public disclosure that the FBI was investigating possible Trump campaign coordination in Russia's election meddling, this after testifying before Congress that the FBI didn't ever discuss in public ongoing investigations. The New York Times now says, oh, never mind, we're in collusion 2.0. You see, it's actually George Papadopoulos, then 28-year-old, whose idea of resume enhancement was to feign participation in the Model UN, who triggered the FBI's massive probe by, wait for it, a night of boozy blather in London. Well, it turns out that Carter Page, that angle, and thus the collusion narrative itself, is beset by an Obama administration scandal. Slowly but surely, it's emerged that the Justice Department and the FBI were very likely targeting Page because of the Steele dossier, a Clinton campaign opposition research screed disguised as the intelligence reporting. It appears the Bureau failed to verify Steele's allegations before the DOJ used some of them to bolster an application for a spying warrant from the FISA court, the FISA court. the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, which led to unmasking, which led to the collusion investigation, which led, of course, to Robert Mueller investigating the president as we speak. Thanks to the persistence of the House Intelligence Committee led by Chairman Devin Nunes, the story of the dossier will not go away. Thus, Democrats and their first media friends have been moving the goalposts in an effort to save the collusion narrative. First, we were led to believe the dossier was no big deal because the FBI would surely have corroborated any information before the DOJ left it to a federal judge in a warrant application. Then, when the Clinton campaign's role in commissioning the dossier came to light, we were told that it was impertinent to ask what the FBI did, if anything, to corroborate it, since this could imperil the intelligence methods and sources. You mean the ones already compromised by James Comey so that a special prosecutor would get named, which, by the way, worked like a frickin' charm? Wow. Now, the new strategy to prop up the collusion tale. Never mind Page. Look it over there at George Papadopoulos. No fewer than 6 of the Times' top reporters, along with the researchers, worked their anonymous current and former law enforcement and intelligence officials in order to generate this Page blockbuster. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. With these leaks, the paper confidently reported from the Russia trip of the once obscure Mr. Page grew a wide-ranging investigation now accompanied by 2 congressional inquiries that cast a shadow over the early months of the Trump administration. Did nothing of the kind. The whole story's been morphing and changing and morphing as fewer and fewer actual hardcore results are found by it. However, while the Times acknowledged there may have been a couple of other factors involved, Paul Manafort, then Page's trip, Mr. Trump's campaign manager, Manafort, was already under criminal investigation in connection with payments from a pro-Russian political party in Ukraine. And the WikiLeaks and 2 websites later identified Russian intelligence fronts that had been releasing emails obtained when Democrat Party servers were hacked. Unbelievable. But the trigger for the investigation was Page. And by the way, this is from National Review, and Andrew J. McCarthy is reporting it. Now we're supposed to forget about Page and start talking about George Stephanopoulos. According to the new bombshell, the hacking coupled with the revelation of a member of the Trump campaign, Papadopoulos, may have had the inside information about it. George Papadopoulos. If I said George Stephanopoulos, I was wrong. It's George Papadopoulos. I probably didn't, but I wanted to make sure I didn't. Papadopoulos may have had inside information about it if they were the driving factors that led the FBI to open an investigation in July of 2016 into Russian attempts to disrupt the election and whether if any President Trump's associates conspired. It seems like only yesterday, or more precise, late October, that when he pled guilty to a count of lying to the FBI in the Mueller probe, that Mr. Papadopoulos was even more obscure than the once obscure Mr. Page. Now he's been elevated to the improbable match that set off a blaze that has consumed the first year of the Trump administration. So the Times having trouble trying to figure out just exactly how to explain their collusion story now. It went from George Papadopoulos, or actually, it didn't go from George Papadopoulos. It went from Carter Page to Papadopoulos, and now the collusion is everywhere. Except we can't tell you any more about it because, well, every time we start telling you about it, somebody points to Hillary Clinton and makes our point explode. President Trump took a shot at the New York Times, wishing good luck to the new publisher of the failing New York Times, A.G. Sulzberger. He took the reins from his father and was welcoming with a warning to hire better journalists and stop showing liberal bias. The failing New York Times has a new publisher. This is the president tweeting. The failing New York Times has a new publisher, A.J. Sulzberger. Congratulations. Here's the chance for the Times to fulfill its vision of its founder, Adolph Ochs, to give the news impartially without fear of favor, regardless of any party, sect, or interests involved. Here are some tips that President Trump wanted to give to the Times. Get impartial journalists at a much higher standard. Lose all of your phony and non-existent sources. Treat the President of the United States fairly, so the next time when I and the people win, you won't have to write an apology to your readers for a job poorly done. Yeah, there's a reason why they want the president to stop tweeting. Oh, yeah, there's definitely a reason. For his part, the new publisher, Adam Sulzberger, said for more than 120 years after Adolph Ochs's vision was printed in these pages, the need for an independent, courage, trustworthy journalism is as great as it's ever been. Oh, more great now since we haven't had any for 20 years. Horrific. But guess what? It's not just Hillary Clinton, not just George Papadopoulos, not just Carter Page. Huma Abedin back in the news. That's right. Huma Abedin. Why? Stay right there. I will tell you before you can say Huma on the Wells Report.
All right, man.
All right, man. Get up for a second. I'll be right back.
All right. I've got 20 seconds. And here we go in 5.
Hello.
Here we go.
Eight 927-6691 will get you through to the Wells Report, waiting for your cheery voice to enliven our broadcast on the second day of 2018. Second day, 2018. And the best news of all, it's an election year. Did we just finish one of those? Yeah, we just finished one of those. And the most enlightening American president ever has continued his unbelievable and patriotic and truly inspiring work of flushing out all of these anti-American enemies. All of them. President Trump went after crooked Hillary Clinton aide Huma Abedin this morning, appearing to call on the deep state Justice Department to look at the potential security issues in her handling of classified materials after a recent email dump. Crooked Hillary Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, who has been accused of disregarding basic security protocols, she put classified passwords into the hands of foreign agents. Remember the sailors' pictures on the submarine? Jail. Deep State Justice Department must finally act, also on Comey and others. The man has a point. He absolutely has a point. Trump was referring to U.S. Navy sailor Christian Saucier, who was put in prison for taking unauthorized photos inside a nuclear submarine. He seemed to suggest a double standard is at play compared with the lack of punishment for Clinton and her aides. Absolutely. In fact, the military judge in the Saucier case warned the defense not to try the Hillary Clinton defense. Wow. That was a preemptive shot. The president's tweet came after the State Department in a Friday news dump released a batch of emails from Abedin's account that were discovered by the FBI on a laptop belonging to her estranged husband, Anthony Weiner. At least 4 of the documents were marked classified. Yeah. So now we have classified documents on yet another unauthorized device. Abedin also forwarded sensitive State Department emails to her personal Yahoo email account before every Yahoo account was hacked, first reported by Daily Caller. Why do you suppose all the Yahoo email accounts were hacked in the first place? Could it possibly be that somebody's intelligence agency somewhere in the world suddenly figured out, hey, wait a minute. Obama administration staffers aren't following the rules. In 2013, Yahoo was hacked. The company said in a statement all Yahoo user accounts were affected by the theft, including the personal Yahoo account of Huma Abedin. Former FBI Director James Comey, who led the email investigation into Hillary Clinton, said during a congressional hearing last year that he believed Abedin forwarded emails to Weiner for him to print out so that she could give them to Clinton. Abedin's emails shook the 2016 presidential race. As Comey told Congress on August 28th, make that October 28th, 2016, just days before the election, the FBI found more of Clinton's messages on Weiner's laptop as they investigated a sexting case against him. The discovery of those records reopened the case against Clinton several months after Comey had said he was not recommending charges be filed in the case. Comey at the time said Clinton was extremely careless in her handling of classified emails on her private server. Actually, he said that she was absolutely, it wasn't extremely careless, it was the other one. And those words were softened by Peter Strzok. Remember? As this whole thing unwinds, as it unravels, a lot of people like me that were being made fun of are looking for the leftist crazy people now running for the tall grass saying, oh my God, that kid on the Wells Report, he was right. Yeah, I was.
All right, sir. Moving right along.
Well, all righty then. Oh, that's beautiful. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Huh. All right. Fine. Let's do that then. I forgot to put the clock up. Forgot to put the clock up.
There's not been much audio lately.
No.
Or, I mean, yesterday and today, But probably something will happen soon, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. No doubt. Probably before the day's up.
It's possible.
Crazy news, all the crazy news cycles that we have now. I found myself, I didn't realize how much that I watch TV, man. Like, my cable went out for like a little while.
Yes.
When it went out, I was like,
Lost.
I wasn't, I guess. I kind of was, but my girlfriend was like, it's not that big of a deal. And I just put on the Roku stick. You know, we got like Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff. But I was kind of like, man, I want to be able to turn on the news. You know, you can't really watch. There's not much live, and there's not much like recent news that you can pull up on this thing. Looks like we got a caller, man. We're back in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Here we go, man.
Eight 844-927-6691. That gets you through to the Wells Report, the second day of January, year of our Lord 2018. Mike in Reno, listening to 1400 AM. My friend, thanks very much for listening. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I got two quick questions for you because I appreciate your insight.
Yes, sir.
One, why do you maintain at the highest levels of the FBI or just a couple of agents wanted Hillary to win, and why? Two, why is the CIA absent in all these discussions?
Oh, that's an
They
easy
are
one.
the central.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with the second one first. Okay, first of all, the CIA's purvey is international. It is not domestic. Typically, domestic intelligence, counterintelligence, counterespionage is an FBI thing. Okay.
Well, Russia is. Am I still on?
Yes.
Well, Russia is international, and I understand Brennan, was he the head of the CIA?
Yes.
I think was in Kiev, stirring up trouble with the whole Ukrainian thing to pull the faction, the Petroshenko faction, away from Russia.
Well, Brennan, first of all, you know what you're doing is you're confusing facts with the Democrat Party approved narrative, and that's why you're getting confused. Okay, I mean Brennan's one of those guys that believes that he knows better than anybody else. He's always the smartest guy in the room, including all of the other progressives he's in the room with at the time. So Brennan, Brennan's one of those guys that look you right in the face and tell you that you're an idiot. Whether you are or not is of no importance, because all that he knows is all that's necessary to know. If there was anything else necessary, he would know it. Now, getting back to that other question, do I believe that people high in the management of the FBI were indeed colluding with the Hillary campaign to keep her from A, being indicted during the campaign, B, being found guilty of violations of the Espionage Act, or see any number of 16 different statutes on the books that she obviously violated. Do I believe that they were working to keep her from being in trouble with that? Yes, I am saying that. What I am saying is that the upper reaches of the FBI not only cashed in the truth, but cashed in their integrity, their FBI credentials, their sacred honor, to provide some kind of a way to keep Donald Trump from becoming the president of the United States. Because these people were so convinced that President Trump would be a disaster for this nation. And by the way, all I have to do is read what they were saying to each other. All of this became true. All of this became real. The people at the highest levels of the CIA, the FBI and the CIA, but the FBI in this particular case, decided that the people of the United States were idiots and fools and had no business voting for someone as important as the president of the United States, and therefore worked to do what was necessary to defeat the president, the now president of the United States, and to keep Hillary Clinton from running into any kind of federal legal trouble. The problem with it is, I don't know how Hillary Clinton avoids more federal legal trouble. I sat behind this microphone during 2016. There is no way that Hillary Clinton can escape any of this. That was before I found out that there were indeed FBI agents that were working to clear her in every possible turn, every chance they got. Now, I said to myself at the time, I said, something very, very bad is going on, because obviously the fix is in. The FBI became the fix be in. And I looked at all of this and I was just shaking my head because I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that that was indeed where this nation had descended, where that agency had descended. I couldn't believe that what I was reading in the newspaper about the nature of these charges was simply being set aside by the FBI. Then I couldn't believe, and this is when I realized that something bad was coming apart. When James Comey did not allow Loretta Lynch to have anything to do with moving the investigation into Hillary Clinton forward, that's when I realized that there was indeed scandalous corruption afoot. And I started feeling better myself. Because I could say, you know what? Okay. So there are people, agents of the government in the FBI, that were indeed working to fix the 2016 presidential election. Now, I have to say that I felt better. I felt better about that, because there for a while I thought I had lost my mind. I thought I was, as it turns out, I was being gaslighted along with everybody else in the United States. 844-927-6691. Rick in Fort Worth, listening on Big D Talk, 1160 AM KBDT. Hi.
Hey, David, you keep preaching this, because I'm telling you right now, this has got to stop. I'm scared of these Democrats doing this. And if they think they can get away with it without any repercussion, they're just going to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it.
And they'll keep losing elections.
Got to go down.
What you have to keep in mind, Rick, is they'll keep losing elections too. You see,
I know that, but the people in government that are doing this, are getting away with it.
No, they're not.
Hillary did.
No, she hasn't gotten away with it yet.
Well, I pray that she doesn't, and I pray you stay on top of it, JD, because I'm telling you, man, the Clinton machine and people like that, they scare me that they can get into government and act with this impunity.
Rick, I want you to listen.
The guy that took the picture in the sub. The
Yeah.
guy that took a picture in the sub. He
Right.
gets prison.
Yes.
Ugh, it makes me mad.
Nobody saw the picture. Nobody saw the picture.
But
And he destroyed the computer. Hillary Clinton
Yes.
destroyed 33,000 emails and destroyed the server and destroyed BlackBerry after BlackBerry after BlackBerry after iPhone after iPhone after iPhone.
and gets away with
And
saying,
gets
what
and so
difference does it
far.
make?
But what you have to keep in mind is this. What you have to understand, Rick, is this. There are two things. One, immunity that has been issued by someone who is corrupt is not immunity. Therefore, Huma Abedin, all of these people are in serious trouble.
I hope so.
Hillary Clinton is in serious trouble. And she's in a position where it's a lot deeper because, once again, if they're able to, for any way, shape, or form, reconstruct what was on that server to the point where they can line up payments to the Hillary Clinton Foundation or the Clinton Family Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative, like they were with the collusion, with the actual with that actual dossier that they're talking about. See, that's the smoking gun. They can't get away from that. The FBI got nailed by it. The Democrat Party got nailed by it, which leads me to my next statement that you need to keep in mind. It is not the Democrat Party. The people that you fear are not Democrats. The people that you fear are elitist, leftist, progressives. These anti-American thugs are bent on the destruction of this nation. We are talking about the people the people identify themselves. James Comey is one of them. Hillary Clinton goes without saying she's one of them. Bill Clinton, I don't know what Bill Clinton is doing. Maybe he's just going with the flow. I don't know what his situation is. But I've called him the last real Democrat president. But James Brennan, John Brennan, James Clapper, Peter Strzok, these people from the FBI, all of these people, these are all people that are taking part in a leftist coup against the President of the United States. Robert Mueller is now in the midst of an investigation that, if he does not know by now, he will know quite soon that he is in the middle of a progressive leftist coup. And that he, by the way, is the patsy. Now, he doesn't know that. If he doesn't know that yet, well, he does know it. The question is he going to be able to get out of the country? Is he going to be able to get out of this investigation? Everybody talks about how, well, that President Trump better not fire that Mueller guy. Yeah, you know what happened next? It'd be impeachment next. Yeah. Robert Mueller goes to bed every night hoping he's going to get fired tomorrow. Because he's a patsy. The reason why we haven't heard anything more from this collusion investigation, one, there isn't anything there. Two, every time he turns around, Robert Mueller keeps getting referred back to his own agency, the FBI. The choice he has to make is this. Do I put my finger on everybody in my old agency that is operating against the people of the United States in an anti-constitutional, anti-democratic, anti-Republican way to disrupt, if not destroy the presidency of a freely elected American president? Does he indeed take part in an investigation that will lead inexorably to violations of the Espionage Act on the part of a former First Lady and a former Secretary of State? Does he continue pushing forward in an investigation that may well prove that there was espionage in place involving the Clinton Global Initiative and the Clinton Family Foundation? Robert Mueller is in a huge mess. The Democrats are going to have to decide whether they're going to whether they're going to jettison the mainstream media filled with progressives, filled with elitist progressives. They're wannabes. They're not actually elitist progressives. They want to be elitist progressives. They've been seduced by progressive elitists. Hey, well, you're part of the team. Yeah. Yeah, in a pig's eye you are. The mainstream media is outsmarting itself by half. The people of the United States have gotten this close, about an inch away from watching their country stolen out from underneath them. All you got to do to find the truth is read the newspapers and think. And when you run across somebody like Chris Cillizza, who says, the stunning abnormality of Donald Trump's war on justice. Yeah, it's Donald Trump's war on justice. No, Mr. Cillizza, what you should be writing about is the stunning abnormality of the Department of Justice being used as a political bludgeon, political lever to be able to perhaps remove a sitting president from the United States presidency. That's what you should be writing about, Chris, but you can't do it, can you? You know why? Why? Because you're a progressive elitist, aren't you, buddy?
All right.
If I get shot on my way home, tell everybody I was right.
Yeah. No, I'm sure you'll be fine.
Uh-huh.
No, you're good, man.
Yeah, well.
They're really using this to distract us from what's really the real bad stuff that we don't know about yet.
No. This is the real bad stuff.
Yeah.
This is as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, this is...
No, I know it, but I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff going on that we don't know about.
Yeah.
That we probably won't ever hear about. Like the stuff that's really behind the scenes is probably really bad. If this is what's coming out, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be horrible in there. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of those leftist people, they're trying to start a revolution, man. They want a whole change of government.
Let's see. Yeah, they do. Well, what they did was that Donald Trump being elected,
yeah,
they panicked and they showed their cards.
Yeah, true.
Let's see here. Thanks for everything. I thought the direct stream was tune in. Let's see here. I'll check to see if I can sharpen that up. JD. Trying to get trying to get TalkStream Live to carry me.
Oh yeah.
But I need like iHeartMedia.
Oh.
I got to find out how to get iHeartMedia to carry the show.
Oh. Okay. Well, you need like another source or something, or another.
What?
You need like another. You got to list another place for them or something? Do they have to get?
Yeah, they're talking about something like that. I didn't have time because I wanted to concentrate on the show.
Yeah, I got it.
See what have I got here? All righty then.
All right, man. Coming back in 10 seconds.
All right. Eight 844-927-6691. 844-927-6691. I am John David Wells. This is the Wells Report. Former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly, who had a sexual misconduct scandal of his own, said that President Donald Trump should order the FBI to investigate David Brock and Lisa Bloom over payments that Bloom received for potential Trump sexual misconduct accusers. The New York Times reported yesterday that Brock's American Bridge 21st Century Foundation gave Bloom's firm $200,000 to help support a sexual misconduct case against Donald Trump. Fashion designer Susie Tompkins Buell gave $500,000 as well. The sources claim that Bloom returned the money to Buell but kept the cash from Brock. In response, Bill O'Reilly posted this to his website. I'm going to quote this. I wouldn't use these terms. Vile attorney Lisa Bloom has admitted receiving big money from the likes of fanatical far-left smear merchant David Brock in her quest to defame Donald Trump before the election. Bloom was also involved in attacking me. The FBI and the IRS should be investigating Bloom, Brock, and others. Will they? President Trump, for his own sake, should order it. That's the real attempted subversion of the 2016 election. Secret money being offered for defamatory testimony. The allegations are staggering. This being reported from Grabian News. O'Reilly is correct. Money changed hands from the DNC to Christopher Steele, the guy behind the Donald Trump dossier. That money went directly into the hands of the Russian government. Some of it did. And that dossier, at least at some level, was given some kind of a review by the Russian Secret Service. the Russian intelligence services. Then it all came back here. The FBI actually has money invested in that too. So why would the FBI and the Democrat National Committee be giving money to a bogus dossier? And just exactly how deep does this sexual harassment scandal go? Just exactly how many people were the left willing to throw overboard in order to get rid of the thorns in their side like Bill O'Reilly? I am waiting for truth. I am waiting for your truth. I can hardly wait to report it on this broadcast. Look, all I'm doing right now is doing what you don't have time to do. Look a little deeper into the news than I believe that even the news media wants you to. And then what I do is I put it all together in a show called The Wells Report, which you can find right here Monday through Friday at about this same time on the USA Radio Network.
All right, man. One more hour to go. Hey, man, I'll be back in just a minute.
Okie doke.
right, you got a minute and a half.
Thank you.
All right, here we go in 10 seconds.
North to south, coast to coast. This is the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. I want to thank all the people that are watching and listening, coast to coast on the USA Radio Network and on the Facebook Live Events Network. Also, the Google Hangouts. You can find the Wells Report going on right this very moment, and you can get to know me, and I'll get to know you too. So let's do that. Telephone number is 844-927-6691, 844-927-6691. One more couple of things, I guess, real fast on this this dossier story. Byron York is now reporting from the Washington Examiner that House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes has issued a subpoena to David Kramer. He is a former State Department official who, in late November 2016, traveled to London to receive a briefing and a copy of the Trump dossier from its author, former British spy Christopher Steele. Kramer then returned to the United States to give the document to Senator John McCain. Kramer is a senior fellow at the McCain Institute for International Leadership at Arizona State University. McCain later took a copy of the dossier to the FBI's then director, James Comey. The FBI already had the document. They had paid for it. Steele himself gave the dossier to the Bureau in installments, reportedly given beginning in early July of 2016. Like I said, we'll keep our eye on the story. We'll let you know more as soon as we know more on the Wells Report. Donald Trump earlier today started his 2018 by taking a shot at Pakistan. I have a lot of Pakistani friends. And I have to be honest with you, I have been frustrated, and I've spoken to my Pakistani friends about it. I have been frustrated with the duplicity that comes from the Pakistan government toward the United States. President Trump has noticed that the deal between Pakistan and the United States seems to benefit Pakistan quite well, even beyond what is real and indeed even reasonable The United States has foolishly given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit, thinking of our leaders as fools. They give safe haven to terrorists we hunt in Afghanistan with little help. No more. Pakistan Foreign Minister Khawaja Asif, speaking to CNN affiliate GOTV yesterday, said his country was, quote, ready to publicly provide every detail of the U.S. aid that it has received, unquote. We've already told the U.S. we will not do more. We will not do more, so Trump's no more does not hold any importance, added Asif. The Pakistan government, what? We've already told the U.S. that we will not do more, so Trump's no more does not hold any importance. See, that's really high-level communication from the Pakistanis. It means absolutely nothing. Oh, he wants us to do no more? Fine, no more then. We will do no more. What? You will no longer give yourself $33 billion worth of U.S. foreign aid? Fine. Our work here is done. Is that what you're saying? Perhaps you should have thought about that statement a little bit more before you threw it out there. But it sure does look kind of cool from a rhetorical standpoint. I went to Oxford. I know what that word means. The Pakistan government has yet to issue a formal response. They're probably trying to figure out what their Pakistani spokesperson is trying to say too. The New York Times reported last week the U.S. might withhold $255 million in aid to Pakistan because of Trump's frustration over its handling of terrorists in the country. Yeah. Does the town's name of Abbottabad ring a bell? Osama bin Laden, living in Pakistan, right down the road from their version of West Point. Do the words able danger mean anything to you? Men from the deepest part of the clandestine services of the United States, charged with the simple task of finding the world's arch terrorist and killing him, finding him in the mountains of Tora Bora, and held at gunpoint by the Pakistani intelligence service, while Osama bin Laden made his escape into, that's right, Pakistan. Ten years of misdirection from the Pakistani intelligence services as to where Osama bin Laden was. They knew full well where he was. He was right down the road. Withhold $255 million in aid? Sure. Absolutely withhold it. May I suggest making it $255 billion in aid? No. $255 trillion in aid. Let's not give the Pakistan government another dime. Let's refer to them as a state sponsor of terrorism. By the way, this does hurt. I do have friends that are Pakistani. But we can't put up with this. You cannot give comfort and succor. That's SUCCOUR, in case you're wondering, to the world's arch terrorist. You can't do that. The commander of the NATO-led coalition in Afghanistan, U.S. Army General John Nicholson, said in November that Pakistan had not changed its behavior since Trump announced his new policy for Afghanistan and the wider region, which specifically called on Pakistan to do more. General Nicholson told the reporters, "No, I haven't seen any change in their behavior." This after a NATO defense ministers meeting in Brussels, when he was asked whether Pakistan was cooperating more in eliminating Taliban sanctuaries. You've heard the public statements from President Trump, from Defense Secretary James Mattis, from Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Joseph Dunford, from Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. We're engaging at the very highest level with the Pakistanis to work together with them against these terrorists that are undermining the stability of the entire region. Pakistan has fought hard and suffered heavily against those terrorists focused on its government, and now we are asking them to focus on the terrorists that are attacking Afghanistan and attacking the coalition. Granted, they're in a tight spot. Pakistan has put itself in that tight spot and demands to stay there. The United States is a clear ally of India. Pakistan hates India. India hates Pakistan. They have nuclear weapons specifically to kill each other with. But like many family battles, when it comes right down to the actual nut cutting, you don't push that button, do you? No, you don't. You glower at each other over your border. You have an incredibly stylized changing of the guard to scare the snot out of each other with. You regularly rattle the nuclear saber. But that's all, isn't it? That's all it will ever be, won't it? So now you must go with the happy fiction that you cannot be an ally of the United States because India is an ally of the United States, and God knows you don't want to have any kind of anything in common with India. Except, of course, that you're the exact same people with the exact same religions and mostly the exact same beliefs. You just have different politics. Trump in October was talking about how much Pakistan now respected the U.S. Well, yeah, times change. After American Caitlin Coleman and her Canadian husband, Joshua Boyle, were freed as Taliban prisoners, the president praised Pakistan's cooperation with the U.S. It's a very positive moment for our country's relationship with Pakistan. It's a sign that Pakistan is honoring American wishes for it to do more to provide security in the region. Yes, that is exactly what the president was saying in an effort to lure Pakistan into doing more, not less. But this, of course, is why Pakistan recoiled. They have to. They cannot be seen in that region as getting along with the United States. They cannot be seen as being anything close to a nation that gets along with the United States. They cannot. Because if they do, their fellow Muslim countrymen will have serious problems with them. By the way, they had a special meeting of the National Security Committee that is in Pakistan. Pakistani Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi chaired the meeting, attended by the country's foreign, interior, and defense ministers, along with the chiefs of staff of the Army, Navy, and their Air Force. What did they come up with? Well, you'll hear about that next. the President of the United States calls Pakistan out for the duplicity that has long decorated a tenuous relationship with the United States. They call an immediate meeting of the National Security Council in Pakistan because they're about to lose $255 million in American cash that they need. More in a moment.
All right, sir. Sounding good.
Thank you.
Moving right along.
Oh my God. All right. Let's see here. I got a call back from the guys at okay. All right. Okay. Is the USA stream an MP3 stream?
I'm not sure if it's an MP3 stream. I don't know, but
I don't know either.
you could definitely listen to it on your phone if that's what they're trying to say.
Right.
I don't know. That would be a question for David Maddox.
Let me do that.
Right back in 40 seconds.
Okay.
All right, here we go in 10.
Eight four four 927-6691 gets you through to the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. So after the tweet, after President Trump called out the Pakistan government for being duplicitous and not doing enough to stop worldwide terrorism, which is happening in their front yard. Pakistani Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi chaired a National Security Committee meeting attended by the Foreign, Interior, and Defense Ministers, along with the Chief of Staff of the Army, Navy, and Air Force of Pakistan. In a statement following the meeting, the NSC expressed, quote, deep disappointment at recent U.S. leadership comments, which it said were completely incomprehensible as they contradicted facts manifestly, struck with great insensitivity at the trust between two nations built over generations, and negated decades of sacrifices made by the Pakistani nation. It said there had been close interaction with the U.S. following Trump's initial policy statements regarding South Asia, and that recent visits to Pakistan by Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and Defense Secretary James Mattis were, quote, robust and forward-looking. The NSC claimed that Pakistan's counter-terrorist campaign had, at great financial cost, served as a bulwark against the possible expansion of scores of terrorist organizations currently present in Afghanistan, a fact acknowledged by U.S. authorities at the highest levels. Yes, those are actually the ones that we are trying to get you to do something about. Then they put out this very important piece. Pakistan suffered losses of $123 billion, 50,000 casualties of civilians due to the war against terrorism. Pakistan lies as at number 2 among countries worst hit by terrorism. 62,421 fatalities since 2003-2017. Allied combat deaths, Pakistani security forces, 6,000. U.S. contractors, 1,582. A lot of contractors. 2,357 U.S. military, 1,130 other U.S. military, 14,000 Afghan security soldiers all lost their lives, along with 6,000 Pakistani security forces members. In Pakistan, the number of deaths each year due to terrorism went from 5,379, or actually 5,496, to 924 in 2017. All I can do is repeat what I have said before regarding this. The NSC, the Pakistani NSC, expressed deep disappointment at recent U.S. leadership comments, which were completely incomprehensible as they contradicted facts manifestly, struck with great insensitivity to the trust the two nations built over generations, and negated the decades of sacrifices made by the Pakistani nation. All of that vanished when you chose Osama bin Laden, overturning him over to the people of the United States of America. All of these things. You could have done it in the mountains of Tora Bora. The men and women of Able Danger were standing by ready to take this guy into custody. And you stopped them. The simple case of the matter is that Pakistan has its own interests at heart. And they said so, by the way, at the end of this, after all of this public relations. The government of Pakistan tweeted, Pakistan has rendered countless sacrifices in the war against terrorism and has always taken indiscriminate action against any form of extremism. Our commitment for lasting peace is unequivocal. Hashtag Pakistan first. An obvious reference to America first. The security policy, national security policy of Donald Trump, President Trump. So you see, it's like this. It can't possibly be our fault. We communicate so beautifully and we say such beautiful things in such beautiful ways because we all went to Oxford. How could we possibly be guilty of any kind of collusion with your enemies? In other words, they're not interested in the story, and neither should we be. They're interested in the money, and they shouldn't get it. There, our work here is done.
All right, sir.
Wow. That was goodish.
The Pakistan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to give any. We don't
Nope.
need to give any. Spend
Well,
it
we
here.
do, but we're not going to. Not for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, spend it here.
Yeah.
And the Iranian
Is this
people
anywhere close to what you're hearing?
reclaim their country's proud history, its culture, its civilization, its cooperation with its
What do you
neighbors.
mean?
Is this
Also on
is this
Capitol Hill, Senator Orrin Hatch, the longest-serving Republican
this is the
senator,
news?
announced today that he will retire at the end of the year. This is USA
Oh,
Radio
I'll tell you.
News.
Hang on.
The reason I went into consulting? Because I love hunting for paperwork, not because I like developing plans to help small businesses grow. No, I'm busy searching high and low for a proposal that I had in my hand like a minute ago. Yippee! Staples wants you to spend your time doing what you really
No,
love.
I
That's
missed
why
it,
we have
man. But are you
organizations,
listening to the stream?
Yes. Well, I'm listening to the tune-in stream of KBUT.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's right. I can check real quick.
Quicken Loans. Is that the spot you guys are playing?
Oh, that was the last one. It's a little bit, but it's like
Yeah, it's
30 seconds
behind. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here.
That's 800 Quicken.
Shoot.
Yeah, that's right on. It's about 30 seconds. It's about 20 seconds behind.
Jesus, really? Trying to find the URL for this.
All right, we're back in 10 seconds.
Okay.
Are you looking for senior care for your
844-927-6691. You're listening to The Wells Report. I'm John David Wells. Iran has been rocked by its most significant anti-government protests since a disputed presidential election in 2009. Remember that? Iranians took to the streets after the theocratical government currently in place had declared victory yet again and asked where my votes were. What happened to my vote? Where did my vote go? The unrest started last Thursday. It started as a protest over Iran's beleaguered economy. Unemployment is high at 12%. The cost of basic necessities, such as dairy products, has been spiraling. The protests have widened to a more general expression of anger over alleged government corruption and discontent with Iran's clerical rulers. There have been calls for Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini to step aside. The protests kicked off at the northeast city of Mashhad when people took to the streets to convey their disappointment over President Hassan Rouhani's failure to develop and to deliver on promised economic prosperity in the wake of a nuclear deal with world powers. As the news of the protests spread on social media via Telegram and WhatsApp, widely used in Iran, protests erupted in other cities such as Isfahan and the capital Tehran. Security services have used force and tear gas to disperse crowds. At least 20 people have died, 450 people have been arrested nationwide. This according to the Iranian media. Tehran's Revolutionary Court warned today that arrested protesters could potentially face the death penalty when they come to trial. Well, of course. They don't have any other kind of punishment. Authorities have also tried to slow, in some cases block access to the internet and banned some international phone calling. At the time, Rouhani has struck a conciliatory tone and said that protesters have a right to be heard as long as they do so according to the Constitution. Without naming a specific country or organization, Khomeini accused Iran's enemies on Tuesday of meddling in recent protest rallies. What has the White House done? By the way, this done beautifully by Kim Helmgard of USA Today. Since the protest started, President Trump has taken to Twitter on multiple occasions to let the Iranian government know that he's watching closely. He's also expressed solidarity with the protesters and their poor economic prospects. Yet Trump has also tried to characterize the protests as a direct result of Iran's foreign policy in the Middle East. The people are finally getting wise as to how their money and wealth is being stolen and squandered on terrorism. Iran security forces ultimately crushed the 2009 Green Movement, where millions marched in protest over the disputed re-election of Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. The scale of the protests this time, however, is much smaller. Not clear how much public dissent Iran's government is willing to tolerate. It's one of the problems with mixing religion and government. God always seems to be on the government side. It's the craziest thing. Iran security forces, as I said, crushed the 2009 Green Movement when millions marched in protest over the disputed re-election of Ahmadinejad. These protests are smaller. President Trump is considering imposing new sanctions on those responsible for the crackdown on protesters. Presidential aide Kellyanne Conway said that today. It comes as he faces a congressional deadline this month onto whether to certify Iran as meeting the terms of the 2015 nuclear accord with the United States and other nations. They are not. It's not what they do. They do not keep their word. They don't. This also from USA Today. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini accused the country's enemies of meddling in recent protest rallies. At least 20 people have died, 450 arrested. The unrest started over economic issues. According to comments published on Khomeini's official website today, the Supreme Leader said that Iran's enemies had used money, weapons, politics, and intelligence apparatuses to create problems for the Islamic system. By the way, the Grand Ayatollah Khomeini did not name a specific country or organization. He has the final say on all state matters. He said he would elaborate on the accusation in due course. Iranian TV reported today 9 people were killed overnight. 6 rioters were killed during an attack on a police station in the town of Kadirajan. There we go. An 11-year-old boy and 20-year-old man were killed in the town of Khomeini-Shar, and a member of the Iranian paramilitary Revolutionary Guard was killed in the town of Najafabad. By the way, all these towns are in the Iranian central Isfahan province, 250 miles south of Tehran. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani sought to downplay the significance of the protests. We are a free nation and people are free to voice their protests according to the Constitution. Sure they are. Iranian's semi-official Tasnim news agency warned today that arrested protesters could face the death penalty when they come to trial. The agency quoted the head of Tehran's Revolutionary Court, Musa Ghazanfarabadi, as saying, obviously one of the charges can be moharebe, or waging war against God. The offense carries a death penalty in Iran. Iran's Revolutionary Council handles cases involving alleged attempts to overthrow the government. How convenient. Like I said, when you live in a theocracy, God always seems to be on the side of the government. The president said the people of Iran are finally acting on the brutal and corrupt Iranian regime. All of the money that President Obama so foolishly gave them went into terrorism and into their pockets. $479 million in small bills, cash. That, by the way, violated American law. Isn't that strange? Someone in the Obama administration would violate American law and nobody would go to jail? How odd. President Trump said this: the people have little food, big inflation, and no human rights. The U.S. is watching, unquote, said Donald Trump. Good. I'm very, very glad. The president, for his part, also attacked the Obama era agreement with Iran. While international monitors say that Iran is complying with the agreement, even though they keep saying that they're not complying with the agreement. President Trump has threatened to withdraw the United States from that agreement if Congress does not make improvements. The Iranian people are rightfully demanding dignity, less corruption, more opportunity, and greater control over their lives, said Obama foreign policy advisor Ben Rhodes. In looking at the United States Twitter, it seems lost on too many this is about what Iranians want for Iran. I want the president to continue working very, very hard at being truthful. It will separate him from the other negative and evildoers that surround him. By the way, amid similar protests on Iranian streets in 2009, President Obama did back demonstrators' demand for more open societies, condemned violence perpetrated by the government, but did so in a more low-key way, concerned that Iran's regime would accuse the United States of meddling in the country's affairs. I want to start off by being very clear. It's up to Iranians to make decisions about who Iran's leaders should be, that we respect Iranian sovereignty. Then he added that sometimes the United States can be a handy political football. Yeah, at least. Islamic fundamentalists said the very same thing in seizing power from the U.S.-backed Shah of Iran in 1979, making death to America a theme of their revolution. Much of President Trump's foreign policy, including withdrawal from a global climate change agreement, in recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, to Iran policy, seems driven by domestic politics and desires to demonstrate. I am not Obama, said Aaron David Miller, a Middle Eastern advertiser, to past Republican and Democrat administrations. Trump tweets about Iran won't have much influence by themselves, foreign policy analysts said, in part because they are relatively little known about the protesters and how the government will react. Our capacity to shape events is very, very limited. Other aspects of President Trump's foreign policy make it more difficult for the administration's ability to get other countries to confront Iran, including the president's criticism of the international agreements, from trade deals to the nuclear deal. By the way, that nuclear deal with Iran is still backed by European allies. Sanctions and other pressures are beginning to have a big impact on North Korea, said President Trump. Soldiers are dangerously fleeing into South Korea. Rocket Man now wants to talk to South Korea for the first time. Perhaps that's good news, perhaps not. We will see. They simmer and they simmer and they simmer, don't they? They wait and they wait. The long game being played by purveyors of that game, purveyors that perhaps do it better than anybody else in the history of the world. And what are we doing? Well, the first time in a long time, we're not losing. For the first time in a very long time, somebody in the United States of America is saying, Anybody notice we're getting screwed on this deal? And that means a lot to me. But once again, you have to keep in mind the lessons we need to learn from this. Yes, there is a separation between religion and state. There is not a separation between God and state. And truly, if we get out of this one in one piece, it'll be at the hand of God.
All right, man. Hey, did you see my email about the URL? I heard you're looking for the URL for the stream.
Yes.
I sent you an email with it.
Okay. Let's see here. Hold on. What did you send it to that one, didn't you? Yes.
Yeah, JD or.
Hey,
I sent it to Anthem.
I found it.
Okay, cool.
Copy link.
That's the only email that I'll probably have for you is jwells at Anthem Broadcast.
All right. Paste. As for our website.
Oh, weird.
And
I put part of it in plain text, but it still put it as a link.
yeah.
Weird. Oh, well. Oh, hey, I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick.
Go ahead, man.
2.5.
Go ahead. Let's see.
All right, back in 30 seconds.
30 dang seconds. Eight 844-927-6691, 844-927-6691 is our telephone number. No matter how weird things may be for you, there is one thing you need to keep in mind. You do not live in California. You are lucky that you do not live in California because California is a mess. California is going to remain a mess for the foreseeable future. Here are some of the laws that went into effect in California today. The entire state will now ignore U.S. immigration law. In San Francisco, California Democrats decided the entire state should ignore federal immigration law. Therefore, they passed SB 54, forbidding law enforcement officials from asking for someone's immigration or holding them for immigration and customs enforcement agents unless they've been convicted of a crime. The DMV is raising vehicle registration fees. It's a minor blip in California's war on cars. It's frustrating because this is the only thing that would make the DMV experience any worse. Gosh. Vehicle registration fees are between $25 and $175 depending on the vehicle's value. Employers cannot ask applicants about their salary history. Private employers, yes, private employers cannot ask people who want money from them silly questions like how much money they've made in the past or are making at their current job. It will be at least a little more difficult for a company to gauge what a responsible offer looks like without knowing what an application is or what an applicant is currently making or recently made. It's none of your business what they've been making. They can say things like, well, what would you like to make? Low-skilled workers will have a harder time finding work. That's just a fancy way of saying the minimum wage will now increase from $10.50 an hour to $11 an hour. That's right. More of the American fast food renaissance will be occurring in Southern California as automation takes over for all those jobs. The minimum wage will actually increase every year until it hits $15 an hour in 2022. For those people with jobs, no big deal. For people making below the minimum wage who keep their jobs and get a pay increase, it's great. But low-skilled workers who need a job, well, this is bad news. You can make up your gender on an official site. California will abolish its requirement that a person must undergo clinically appropriate treatment for the purpose of gender transition if they want to change the sex on their birth certificate, which means that men can say they're women and vice versa until state IDs like driver's licenses. So you can say that you're any number of genders. You can be male, you can be female, you can be non-binary. Non-binary? Huh. And schools will no longer be able to decide whether or not they're in gun-free zones. The legislature will decide for them. The ultimate in big government. Executive producer of the Wells Report is the Philip Brown. Studio coordinator, Mr. Mike Hawkins. My name is John David Wells. Thanks very much for starting off 2018 with us today. We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Wells Report on the USA Radio Network. See you again tomorrow afternoon.
All right, man. Good show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I do. I thought that was a good show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, man. Have a good one, and we'll see you back tomorrow.
I will look forward to it, my friend.
You got the thing down, the Comrex, the connecting thing?
The Comrex connecting thing. Yes, you want me to do that, right? You want me to hang up?
Yeah. No, I mean I can hang up for you today, but I'm talking about in the morning when you connect, or in the. Did you figure it out?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I figured it out. Yeah. I'm gonna go. Well, yeah.
I gotta disconnect now because Wayne's gonna connect.
Go ahead.
But,
See you. Bye.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, man. Have a good one.
Okay, brother.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, all righty then. Hope none of you were concerned about me hanging up or leaving or going or anything. Let's see, where did my... All right, my friends. Let's see what we got here. So, does anybody want to ask me anything? Let's see. Big kiss. No, not yet. Anybody want to talk? Question mark? Oh, my cold is better tomorrow. This isn't a cold even. It's annoying. Yeah, that would be good. Not Palestinians, Pakistanis. All right. Well, if you guys don't want to talk. Glad you liked them. Glad you liked them, Benji. Good to hear from you, man. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. Truly is. Both. Oh, good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. That's good news. That's good. All right, Benji, I got to go. And Random, Logan, and all the others, God bless you. Thank you very much for listening. Until tomorrow, I'll talk to you later.